Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing very well. So in today's video I'll be showing you how to make these really nice love potions just in time for Halloween, and it's a great way to accessorize your room, especially if you're into kind of the cozy witchy aesthetic. So let's get started. So for this project I'm going to be using 3 different colours as the main part of the bottle, and I'm also going to be using a dark brown for the cork. All of this yarn is double knit yarn, and then you're also going to need a contrasting colour to make the heart. For the pink I'm going to be doing a red heart, and then for the red I'm going to be doing a cream heart, and for the purple I'm going to be doing a lilac heart. You're also going to need a 2mm hook. If you're using a different weight yarn then you need to use a hook that is like appropriate for that yarn. You'll also need some scissors, a sewing needle, a stitch marker, and today instead of stuffing I'm going to be using some old yarn scraps. You can use polyester like toy stuffing if you wanted, but today I'm going to be just using up some old scraps. Each potion bottle does not use a lot of yarn either, so it's good if you have small kind of chunks of yarn lying around. So we're going to be starting off with the smallest potion bottle. This is like a rounded one. So I'm going to grab my main colour and we're going to start on the base of the bottle. So I'm going to start with a slip knot, add a chain of 3. You're then going to want to slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the hook. So the very first chain we made, like this. And then you're going to want to separate the ring until you can find that very small hole, and that is going to be what we're crocheting our first stitches into. So we're going to make 6 single crochets into the ring, so I'm just going to kind of separate the ring, and then when I find that small centre I'm just going to make my first single crochet. So it's 1, 2, 3. Once you have your 6 single crochets, I'm just going to place my stitch marker into that 6th one that we just made, just so we can mark the end of the round. And then I'm going to pull on the short tail tight to close the ring. Okay, so for round 2 I'm going to make 2 single crochets into each stitch around. Weave this tail in, so it's 1 single crochet and then a second one in the same stitch. I'm going to do this all the way around. Okay, and then I'm going to place the stitch marker back into that last stitch. You should now have 12 stitches in the round. For round 3 I'm going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch and then 2 single crochets into the second stitch. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around. So 1 in the first stitch and then 2 in the second. I'm just going to repeat that, 1 in the next and then 2 in the next. Okay, so you should now have 18 stitches in the round. For round 4 we are going to just make 1 single crochet into the back loop of each stitch. So you should see here we have the front loop and the back loop, and we're going to just go into this back loop of the V and just make a single crochet. And I'm going to do that into each stitch all the way around, just grabbing that back loop. Okay, so for round 5 I'm just going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch around, so just going into both loops, 1 single crochet into each stitch. For round 6 I'm going to make 2 single crochets as normal, and then into the 3rd stitch I'm going to make 2 single crochets. So I'm going to make 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then an increase into the 3rd. 1 and then 1 and then 2 into the 3rd. And then repeat that, 1, 1 and then 2 into the 3rd. So you should now have 24 stitches in your round. For round 7 I'm going to make 3 single crochets and then an increase into the 4th. So 1, 2, 3, and then 2 into the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then I'm going to repeat that all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. Okay, so you should now have 30 stitches in the round. For round 8 I'm just going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. For round 9 I'm going to make 3 single crochets and then I'm going to make a decrease. So I'm going to just start with my normal 3 single crochets. So that's 2, that's 3, and then I'm going to make a decrease. So I'm going to pick up the front loop only of the next stitch and the front loop only of the next stitch, and then I'm just going to make a single crochet through these stitches like that, and that brings 2 into 1, so that's a decrease. And then I'm going to repeat that sequence all the way around, so 3 single crochets, and then I'm going to single crochet 2 together, so I'm going into the front loop only, and then a single crochet. I'm just going to repeat that all the way around. So you should now have 24 stitches in your row. For round 10 I'm going to be making 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So for round 11 I'm going to make 2 single crochets and then a decrease. So just making my 2 single crochets, and then I'm going to make a decrease. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around, so 2 single crochets, and then a decrease. Okay, so you should now have 18 stitches at the end of the round, and at this point I'm just going to stuff the base of the potion bottle with some of my stuffing. So for round 12 I'm just going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. For round 13 you are going to be making 1 single crochet into the first stitch and then a decrease into the next stitch. So 1 single crochet and then a decrease. 1 single crochet and then a decrease. I'm going to repeat that all the way around. Okay, so you should now have 12 stitches at the end of the round. For round 14 I'm going to just be making 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. Okay, and for the final round I'm just going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch. Okay, so now I've finished my last round, I'm just going to chain 1 and fasten off, and I'm going to leave a tail that is long enough to weave in the ends, and then I'm just going to stuff whatever I need to at the top to just kind of bulk it out a bit more. Okay, so we're now going to move on to making the top of the potion bottle, which is the cork. So I'm now going to make the cork, so I'm going to start with a slip knot and a chain 3. I'm going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the hook, just like before. Then I'm going to make 6 single crochets into the centre of the ring. So again, just pulling out the middle and then 6 single crochets. 2, 3, just pull the ring. Okay, so for round 2 I'm going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch. So by the end of the round you should have 9 stitches. For the 3rd round I'm just going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch, but in the back loop only. Okay, and then for rounds 4 and round 5 I'm just going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. Okay, once you've reached the end of the round I'm just going to chain 1 and fasten off, and you're going to want to leave a long tail for sewing. Then just pull that through. And then you're just going to want to kind of push down the top so that it's a bit more of a flat top, and then I'm just going to stuff a small bit of the cork just so that it's a little bit more solid. And I'm just going to kind of weave in this end. Okay, just cut that. And then I'm just going to sew the top of the cork around the top of the potion. So this is what the potion bottle is looking like when everything is all attached, and now I'm going to move on to showing you how to make the little label and the love heart. So we're now going to make the love heart, so I'm going to start off with my secondary colour, which was the dark red, and I'm going to make a slip knot, and then I'm just going to make a chain of 4. I'm then going to slip stitch into the 4th chain from the hook, like this. And then I'm going to pull the ring apart so that I can work into the centre, and I'm going to start off just by making a slip stitch into the centre, like that, and then I'm going to make 3 double crochets, and I'm going to make sure that the tail is staying over and we're crocheting over it because we want to pull on it at the end. So I'm going to make 3 double crochets into the centre. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to make 3 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to, for the bottom of the heart, I'm just going to make 1 double crochet, like that. So that's 1/2 of the heart done, and then I'm going to repeat the last 2 stitches. So I'm going to make 3 half double crochets and 3 double crochets. So that's 1, 2 and 3, and then 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, and then I'm going to finish with a slip stitch into the centre, like so, and then I'm just going to pull the loop out a bit so that it doesn't fall out, and then I'm just going to pull the short tail nice and tight to close the ring. Okay, and then I'm just going to cut the short tail, and then I'm going to leave a long tail for sewing, and I'm going to cut that and then just pull that through. Okay, so that is what the heart is looking like, and as you can see, this is what it looks like when it's placed on top of the bottle. And now I'm just going to show you how to make the label. So to make the label, I'm going to grab white yarn, and I'm just going to start off with a slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 16. Okay, once you have your chain, you're just going to want to flip the chains over so you can see these back bumps, and I'm going to make a single crochet into that second back bump, like that, and then I'm going to make one single crochet into each back bump all the way across the row. Okay, once you have crocheted down the row, you're then just going to want to turn the work, and you're going to loop this end in as you go, and I'm just going to make one single crochet into each stitch all the way down the row. Okay, once you reach the end of the row, you're just going to want to turn the work and then repeat that again, one single crochet into each stitch across, and I'm going to continue this until I have 7 rows in total. Okay, once you have your 7 rows, you're just going to want to chain 1 and fasten off, and you're going to want to leave a long tail for sewing. Okay, and then you're just going to want to sew the love heart onto the label, and then you're going to want to sew the label onto the potion. So I'm now going to be working on the second bottle, and I'm going to be doing this in purple. This is what the second bottle looks like. It's slightly wider than the first. The first 4 rounds of the bottle are the exact same as the first bottle we made. So the first round was 6 single crochets in the ring. The second round is 2 single crochets into each stitch all the way around. And then the third round was 1 single crochet into the first stitch, 2 into the second all the way around. And the fourth was 1 single crochet into each back loop all the way around. So I'm going to complete my first 4 rounds, and then I will come back and I will show you round 5. And just so you know, the cork pattern is the exact same for every single bottle, so just rewind when you want to make the cork for that part because it is all the same. Okay, so I've just done my first 4 rounds of the second bottle. So for round 5, I'm going to be making 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochets into the second stitch all the way around, and you should have 27 stitches by the end of the round. Okay, so for round 6 I'm going to repeat the same thing, and into the final stitch I'm just going to make 1 single crochet because we have 27 in this round. So you should now have 40 stitches in the round. So I'm now going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around for the next 2 rows. So I will come back after I've finished row 8. Okay, so for round 9 I'm going to be making 8 single crochets, and then I'm going to make a decrease. I'm going to start with my 8 single crochets. That's 1, and then I'm going to make my decrease, so just crocheting 2 together with a single crochet, and then I'm going to repeat that all the way around to 8 single crochets and then a decrease. For round 10 I'm going to just make 1 single crochet into each stitch around. For round 11 I'm going to be making 4 single crochets and then a decrease. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then a decrease. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around. For round 12 I'm going to be making 1 single crochet into each stitch around. For round 13 I'm going to be making 3 single crochets and then a decrease. So 3 single crochets, that's 1, 2, and 3, and then a decrease. And then I'm going to repeat that all the way around. For round 14 I'm just going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch around. For round 15 I'm going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch and then a decrease into the next stitch. So that's 1 single crochet, then decrease, and then again 1 single crochet and then a decrease. So for round 16 I'm just going to be making 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So at this point you're just going to want to stuff the potion with your stuffing or your scrap yarn. And for round 17 we are going to be making 2 single crochets and then a decrease. It's 1, 2, and then decrease. Okay, so for the last round, which is round 18, I'm just going to be making 1 single crochet into each stitch. Okay, and then I'm just going to chain 1 and fasten off. And I'm just going to stuff the neck of the bottle a little bit more. Okay, and then I'm just going to kind of move it around to shape the bottle, and then that is the main part of the second bottle all done. And then I'm just going to make a cork just like I did in the previous bottle, and then I'm going to sew the cork on top, and then I'm just going to make a heart and a label just like I did for the other bottle and sew it all on. So I will meet you back when I've done that and we will move on to the very last bottle. Okay, so we're now going to be working on the last bottle. This one has a bit more of a square base, so I'm just going to start off with my main colour, which is a deep red, and I'm just going to start with a chain of 6. And then I'm going to be making 1 single crochet into that back bump at the back of the stitch, into the second back bump from the hook, and then I'm going to be making 1 single crochet into each back bump all the way across. Then I'm going to chain 1 and turn the work, and for row 2 I'm just going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way across, and I'm going to weave this end in as I go. So I'm just making 1 single crochet all the way across. So I'm going to be repeating row 2 where I just make 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way across until I have reached row 5. So I will come back after row 5 and then I will show you how to do row 6. Okay, so this is what the work should be looking like after 5 rows of single crochet. So for row 6 I'm going to be basically single crocheting around the edge, and you want to make sure that you have 20 single crochets around the edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with my first single crochet in the exact same stitch, like that. And then I'm going to be making 4 single crochets across the edge. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And then I'm going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch across here, so I'm just going to make a second one into that corner and then 4 across. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and then another one in this one and then 4 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one more in this stitch and then 4 across. So I'm now going to be turning the work, so I'm working in the opposite direction, and I'm going to be making 1 single crochet into the front loop, or technically back loop, of each stitch all the way around. So I'm grabbing that first loop, 1, 2, 3, so once you have done your 20th single crochet into that front loop, you're then just going to want to slip stitch into that very first stitch that we made, like that, to kind of join the row together. So for row 8, we're just going to turn the work, and we're going to be making 1 single crochet into each stitch around, and then we're going to slip stitch back into the first stitch. So I'm making my first single crochet into the exact same spot, like that, 1, and by the way this is through both loops now, and I'm just going to make 1 into each stitch, so I'm going to have 20 single crochets. Okay, once you've done your 20 single crochets, you're going to want to slip stitch back into that very first stitch that you made, like that. And you're going to want to repeat row 8 until you reach row 15. So I'm just basically going to be turning the work, working in the opposite direction, making 1 single crochet into each stitch and then slip stitching back into that first single crochet. And you want to make sure that when you're making your single crochets that you are counting that you have made 20 in each row. So I'm going to meet you back at row 15. So I've just finished row 15, and then I just made my slip stitch into the first stitch, and where I've made my slip stitch I've now placed a stitch marker because I'm now going to be working in the round, so we're not doing any more like turning the work and working in the opposite direction. For round 16 I'm going to be making 3 single crochets and then a decrease, which should leave you with 16 stitches. So I'm going to start my first single crochet. That's 1, 2 and 3, and then a decrease, and I'm going to repeat that all the way around. Okay, and then I'm just going to make my last decrease into the last 2 loops, including the slip stitch loop, so right there, just make that decrease. For round 17 I'm going to make 2 single crochets and then a decrease. So first single crochet, and then second single crochet, and then a decrease. Okay, so at this point I'm just going to stuff the bottle. So you should now have 12 stitches at the end of the round. For round 18 I'm going to be making 2 single crochets and then an increase. So I'm going to make my first 2 single crochets. That's 1, and that's 2, and then I'm going to make 2 single crochets into the next stitch. Okay, and then I'm just going to repeat that all the way around. Okay, so for round 19, which is the final row, I'm going to be making 3 single crochets and then an increase into the 4th. So 1, 2 and 3, and then increase, Okay, so by the end of the round you should have 20 stitches. So I'm just basically going to chain 1 and fasten off, and then I'm going to be making a cork which is the same size as my other corks, like this, and then I would just sew it to the kind of inside of the bottle so that it kind of has a bit more of an open like top of the neck of the bottle. So I'm just basically going to sew it using the same method but kind of around the second row from the top. Then make a label and a love heart and then sew that on to the front as well. So I will come back when that is all finished, and then that is our 3 potion bottles all done. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up, and if you have any ideas of what you'd like me to make next, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye guys.